Now to sports, and George Alou, Roving Editor for the Sunday newspapers, joins us this morning. Thank you for coming on today.
It's my pleasure, Chamberlain.
Well, one of the matters in this NPL was the what's his name, Sunday Mba matter, and I mean it kind of started off as a joke. People just saw one story in the papers, saw the next one, and they thought maybe one of those scenarios, but it blew wider than that. I think Warri Wolves are threatening to go to FIFA. As a matter of fact, but what's the latest development on this one?
Chamberlain, I think the problem has to do with the Nigerian factor. Yes,
what
the Nigerian factor. Because ordinarily, the issue of who gets a player, who is the owner of a player, shouldn't really cause all this kind of distraction and all that. I think it is because we don't do the right things. That is why we've gotten to where we are today over the issue of Sunday Mba. I need to trace the genesis of this Mbah saga. Mbah, ab initio, was a Rangers player. Then, that was some 3 seasons back. He moved to Dolphins on loan. And you know the way we do our things in this country, you don't get things documented properly and all that. He moved to Dolphins on loan, played for Dolphins for 1 season, and moved over to Warri Wolves.
On loan too, or what?
Warri Wolves bought him outrightly from Dolphins.
When he was on loan?
When he was only on loan to Dolphins from Rangers.
So what did Rangers say at that time of the purchase?
At that point, you see the Nigerian factor coming in. Rangers kept things lying low because the player was apparently not doing well. But when he now started getting national team attention as a Warri Wolves player, the player now wanted to come back to Rangers and sign for Rangers for this season. And Rangers said, okay, this is our player.
So he himself wanted to sign for Rangers?
For Rangers. He signed for Rangers for the 2013 season.
Wow.
But when Warri Wolves signed him from Dolphins, they did not make reference to Rangers because, like I said, that initial, Mbah was never a Dolphins player. He was only on loan from Rangers to Dolphins. So that is why we have all this saga. And now, Rangers is saying, oh, this is our player. And they've unveiled him as one of the 18 players for the new season. And Warri Wolf is now saying, no, Mbah cannot be your player. But the bottom line is that things were not thoroughly done by all the parties involved. You know, our usual way of cutting corners. But the basic thing now is that Mbah has become an instant success with his AFCON 2013 performance. And everybody wants to be part of the action because they know that the player, just like Obabuna, the Sunshine, Godfrey Obabuna, the Sunshine guy, they are definitely going to get mouth-watering contracts in Europe, and these clubs will benefit from it. But the point is that, one, truth be told, this player was from the beginning a Rangers player and moved over to Dolphin only on loan. And he has returned to Rangers for the 2013 season.
After the Warri Wolves and Nations Cup
scenario. Now, because of the success of the Nations Cup, Warri Wolves now want to hold on tenaciously to him.
But when Warri Wolves made that agreement or entered into the deal with Dolphins, on what grounds did Dolphins sell? Since they know that this guy is on loan.
It's only on loan. So I think the problem is that the movement was not tidy. And those who run our league should know. But as it is now, I am surprised that the League Management Committee, headed by Ndu Kairabo, came out with a decision that, oh, based on the information we have, this player is a Warri Wolves player.
Wow.
But I think they should have invited both Rangers and Dolphins, put them on the table, let every team bring its document. What Warri Wolves is saying is that declared him from Dolphins and he's their player. But the same player has signed for Rangers.
As we speak.
As we speak. And he was one of the 18 players alongside Chigozie Agbim, the third choice goalkeeper of the Super Eagles, that was unveiled by Rangers last Wednesday. So if he's a Warri Wolves player, why is Rangers unveiling him? And Rangers have signed him for the new season and to play for Rangers in the continent. Rangers is flying Nigeria's flag in this year's CAF Champions League. And in fact, they would have played their first game if not for the fact they walked over their opponents in the preliminary stage. So his license has gone as a Rangers player to even CAF. So why is it that it is now that Warri Wolves, after the Nations Cup success, that Warri Wolves is now coming to say he is our player?
Yeah, but he was playing for them
As at
Before
last
the
season.
Nations? Yeah, as at... Okay,
As
but
at last season.
if
But for the 2013 season, that is starting on Saturday, with the first match between Rangers and Enyimba, Warri Wolves, Rangers will play the same Mbah. And Mbah, if you, in some of these deals too, you have to hear from the player. The young man has come to say that I have signed for Rangers and I want to play for Rangers. Mbah himself has said that, oh, I am a Rangers player and I've signed for Rangers. All this wahala, so to speak, over who owns him is just because he has become an instant hit. If he was one of those obscure players in the MPL league, nobody would have been talking about Sunday Mba and all that. Before now, Chamberlain, has anybody asked how this same Mbah moved from Rangers to Dolphins and how he moved from Dolphins to Rangers? So it has remained a mystery.
Doesn't the league management board have that information? Because on what information or what did they predicate?
Do we document anything? Do we document anything in this country? If you go back now and ask about this same Sunday Mba that was even a Golden Eagles player, nobody will give you a clear record of what age he is. Some people will tell you that the player is 18. Some will tell you that he's 25-year-old player. But this is a player that played for us even as another 17 player against against Gambia.
Well, since the NFL...
So there is no documentation, and that is where we get it wrong on the home front. As we speak now, if you go to the MPL to ask for players that played last season for Kano Pillars, nobody will give you information. And whether they actually moved on loan or they were cleared outrightly to play for these clubs. These are things that we do not get right on the domestic scene. And that is what has kept our football where it is today.
Since the information is not available out there, do you think journalists should take it upon themselves, perhaps sports journalists, to document their own and say, look, this is the information we have based on what we have seen?
And that is what I'm giving out to you now, that based on the information that we have, that is not that nobody can controvert, this player moved from Rangers to Dolphins on loan.
Yeah, so is it a criminal offense for Dolphins to have sold a player that is not theirs?
Well, Dolphins said they will come out with their own side of the story.
Oh.
That since Dolphins has been mentioned in all this arrangement, that they will come up with their own side of the story.
Why they sold
to Warri Wolves and all that. But then you don't blame Dolphins, because he played for Dolphins for 1 or 2 seasons and they got him on loan and the player moved over to Warri Wolves. Nobody asked questions and Warri Wolves signed him. He played for 2 seasons for Warri Wolves and returned to Rangers.
But don't you think Warri Wolves would have asked Dolphin, are you sure if the player is on loan, Dolphins should not have sold?
That is the documentation we are talking about and the Nigerian factor that comes into play. In fact, the league body then, the MPL, should have even asked questions. Oh, you are taking this player on loan. See, there are so many players now that have played for some clubs in the last 3 seasons that have not been paid their sign-on fees. Players of Gombe United in the last 3 years have not received 10% of their sign-on fees. And they signed contracts, valid contract with these clubs. So what some of these players do is that, oh, since you have not paid me, give me the necessary paper so that I can move over to Club B. I know of a player that played for Gombe United just this last season that the club is owing so much, over 7 million. And what the player is now saying, let me go as a free agent. And sometimes they've had to drag these teams to the players' arbitration committee. And let me tell you, with the present NFF board, the only committee that has not been inaugurated by that board, they've inaugurated technical committee and all manner of committees. The only committee that has not been inaugurated is the players' arbitration committee. And that is supposed to be the most important committee in the NFF to arbitrate over these players. And AFCON, the players' union body, and NAF has continued to cry that inaugurate this players' arbitration committee so that these players can go to arbitration. If we had this arbitration committee, the arbitration committee should have handled the present saga between... The NFF shouldn't have raised a special committee like they are doing now. Megeri has waded into the matter now, so hey, let us look into this issue. He has set up a committee that will now look at Sunday Mba's committee. But this ordinarily should be the job of the Players Arbitration Committee of the NFF.
Wow.
And that committee is not in place.
What if
so for how long are we going to continue that way and we want to play good football in Nigeria?
But since he played for Warri Wolves for 2 seasons, you say, what if he signed to play for them for 3 seasons?
It doesn't change anything. Even if
no, but he can't sign for Rangers If he's
now
on
he has moved over
contract
to
for
Rangers.
3.
But what Warri Wolves is saying that when Rangers wanted him back and signed him to play for them in the CAF Champions League, that they were still being owed some money. So it's like Rangers have not finished the clearance. And sometimes these players will tell you, I'm going to sign because this club is owing me X and X amount of money.
Wow.
And you cannot hold a player that you are here to clear his sign-on fees to ransom. You understand me, Chamberlain? The way this has done, if you have agreed that you are going to pay a player 5 million naira and you give him 20% of that 5 million, it means that this player, by the time he wants to leave, you will not hold on to him because you are still owing him.
Okay. Does the police come in any way to investigate all these matters?
No, in football matters like this, you don't bring in the
NFF
police and all that. It has
who deals with criminal actions? Is it NFF or MPL?
Well, the NFF is supposed to wade in now, and that is what I'm telling you, that if we had the arbitration committee in place, they are supposed to handle all this.
Okay.
Yes. And that is where AFCON has been crying before now, that some of these issues need to be sorted out. In fairness to the AFCON people, Austin Popo, they've been complaining that these players are being owed so much. A player moves from Aqua United to Rangers, he's being owed 5 million. A player moves from Heartland to another. Heartland players were paid only about 20–30% of their sign-on fees for last season. And a player like Brenda Nubu, for instance, and Kabir Umar have moved on to another team. And you are owing these players.
Wow.
What happened?